Hello and welcome to my channel. Well, we could all use a little sunshine in our lives, and here's just a small way to do that. Give someone that you care about a bookbinding card. This is a 4-page card that actually is made to resemble a book. You could indeed use it as a mini album or even place it inside of a journal, for example. And in that case, you would perhaps leave out the bow and just use your holes to attach it to your journal or your notebook. It's rather a straightforward card to make. Now, the tutorial which I followed to make this card is by Sam Colcott of Mixed Up Craft, and I'll leave a link to her channel in the description box below. And she is the one who decided to stagger the pages of this bookbinding card rather than to have them all the same size. As she explains, in most cases when you see this card, they're all exactly the same, so they look more or less like a mini album. But this idea of staggering was really attractive to me, because you can see that you get these little hints of the other colors beneath that vellum. You see the layer, the mat, and then the card itself. Now, you don't have to use the vellum if you don't want to. You could simply eliminate that, but I think it really adds to the attractiveness. I'd like to learn how to make this 4-page bookbinding card. Stick with me, and I'll show you how. Stock that I'm using for the pages is by We Are Memory Keepers. This is a smooth cardstock. It's 216 GSM, and I'm using the vanilla. I've cut the 4 pages, and the first one, which will go to the very back, is 5 by 7. Then we have a 5 by 6.5, 5 by 6, and 5 by 5.5. And for each of these, we're going to score them exactly the same. For the 5 by 7, we're going to score at 1.5 inches. The 5 by 6.5, which is this one, will also score at 1.5. The 5 by 6, again 1.5, and then our 5 by 5.5 scored at 1.5. And that is all the scoring. And when you stack it together, hopefully you can see here you have a little bit of the card showing as you graduate in size. Next, we're going to put down the vellum pages. Now, these are cut at 6 3/4 by 5, 6 1/4 by 5, and 5 3/4 by 5. Only need 3 of these because you will not have the vellum on the top layer. So you just need to glue these, and make sure when you're doing that you have your vellum come all the way over to this edge here. Alright, so I'm going to use this quick setting glue here. It's a quick grab. All I need to do is go along the 1.5 inch piece here, this panel. I don't want to go past that. Okay. Then take your thumb and then adhere it right up to that corner there. And we'll be securing this even further when we get to the final stages of this bookbinding card. So we've got our vellum. Just give that a bit of a burnish. Vellum pieces are all in place now, so I can bring in the mats next. And for those, I have the back, and I'm just going to just pull that back. I have a piece that measures 5 1/4 by 4 3/4, and that's going to go there. And it will be placed so that you have more or less an even border all around. The next piece is the square piece, which is 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. Then we have one that measures 4 1/4 by 4 3/4, and finally for the top piece we have 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. That is the final mat put on here, except for this piece here. And this measures 1 1/4 by 4 3/4. It's just going to go on this leftmost panel here. That's going to go right down there, like that. Next are the layers. Layers, I've chosen these pattern papers. Now you don't have to have pattern papers here. You could have white cardstock that perhaps you've stamped an image on and colored it in and would like to use that instead. But this is what I'm going to use, and I'm going to start here at the back. And the first piece measures 5 by 4 1/2, and that's going to go like that. The next piece is the square, and that measures 4 1/2 by 4 1/2. Next is 4 by 4 1/2, and then finally for the top we have 3 1/2 by 4 1/2. And again, those are going to be placed like we did the mat, so that we have that little bit of border showing there. Do with the pages is entirely up to you. You could leave them completely plain if you like, especially if you're going to have images on them. You could perhaps put like a little gift card in one. You might want to put maybe a photograph in another, and so forth. How I'm going to decorate these are, I'm going to start with my back page, and I have this image here, which I'm going to place in the center. Next page, I have this little sentiment which says sunflower and has the butterfly, and if you get really close in, you'll actually be able to read the words. But what I'm going to do is to pop it on here, but first I'm also going to put a little mat behind it. Just cut a piece of the same paper that was used here on the back piece, and that just helps to lift it a bit off of the paper that's below it. And I'm also going to keep it flat, so it does give it a little more of a 3D effect by having that little mat there. Decided to add a little pocket here. It's just the paper. I'm not going to make it too bulky, so I'm going to place that here. Now what I've done is cut this at 4 by 3 inches, and then on the 4-inch side I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch and at 3.5 inches. And then I will turn it on the 3-inch side and score it again at 1/2 inch. That will make our pocket so we could place a little gift card or maybe even some money, anything in there. Photograph, it's up to you. So I'm going to fold and burnish those score lines. And then on these corners here, I'm going to make a little tab. So I'm just going to make an angle cut up to that score line, and then one from this end as well. And I'm going to do the same on this side. That just takes that bulk out of that corner as well. And then we'll apply our adhesive here. It's a little easier to get anything in and out of there. I'm just going to use my little hole punch here and take it down about halfway on there, so we only get half of a circle instead of a full one. I've got like a little place that we can easily pull from. The top piece, I have this sentiment, which is going to go here in the middle, just to brighten your day. To bring in another piece of this orange cardstock, which I'm going to use as a little border around this piece. Now this happens to measure 2 3/4 inches square, so I've cut my mat to 3 inches square. To attach it using some foam pads here. I'm going to bind the pages with this ribbon, and I'm going to use my crocodile to make the holes here and here. Now if you don't have something like this that will go through multiple layers, what you could do then is just to make your initial hole and then just place it over the next page, put a pencil mark through the hole and then repunch it. Ribbon through here. Have this coordinating sentiment. So I'm just going to place behind this first page. I'm just going to place it like that. A little bit of bling. I have these little gemstones, which I'm going to place here on this sentiment. Like that. And I've got another that I'm going to put, I think, here where the butterfly is. And then towards the bottom, a third. there is our little bit of sparkle to add to our very sunny card. So much for coming today and watching this tutorial on how to make the 4-page bookbinding card. Be sure you look in the description box below for the link to Sam Colcott, UK, of Mixed Up Craft. That is the tutorial I followed in order to make this card, and I think you'll enjoy watching it as well. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, and for anyone who hasn't already subscribed to the channel, please consider doing it today. Be sure that you've hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any future tutorials. I'd love if you left me a comment below and share with your friends. As always, until next time, stay safe and crafty hugs. Bye.